for tuning into another video. Today we're going to be reading a story from Tales from the Crypt. And I picked a random story from the middle pages, so I hope you don't mind. Enjoy. Old Witch, what's up with the Crypt Keeper? He hasn't said a word after telling that spine chiller about Jason. He just ghouled himself again. He got so many hits, he's in a stupor in that world wide web of horror. It takes weeks for him to get offline. It's truly pathetic. He neglects all his responsibilities when he gets like that. Really? You know that painting would look perfectly costly in my vault. You don't think he'd mind my borrowing it, do you? These bad boys' minds are somewhere else, so it's up to you and me to tell our next chilling tale. Luckily, I've been brewing up the perfect story in my witch's cauldron. I call this Fear Fable. Crystal clear. Blake, life was good. He could beat one of his crystal meth customers to a vault who owed him money, and broadcast the image to his right-hand stooge and enforcer, Curly. Druggy, I gave you something to be really paranoid about. Stoney made a lot of contacts, flying his plane over borders and state lines, and when returning to his Midwestern hometown over farmlands trying to stay economically alive. What you owe me? Or you will wish you were only getting hit by my fist. Staying alive economically wasn't a problem for a drug entrepreneur like Stoney, who lived much of his life on the phone. Who knew a man who knew a woman told him they protected a cell phone for people to have the ultimate connection. One phone, sign phone. Curly, you catching all this? Neutral interfacing. It was a coming thing. Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't be there to help you, Stoney. Implanted communication devices capable of transmitting and receiving audio as well as video. Don't sweat, Curly. Mind getting my hands dirty. Perfect for Stoney. The phone was his lifeline. Doing deals, listening to desperate addicts. The live ones, of course. Not the dead ones, like Damien. I had to hightail it over to the funeral for our friend and former customer Damien. I hear his sister Nancy Lee's come from the big city to see her little brother off. Stoney loved it. He didn't have to freeze his fingers off in the cold, holding a cell phone to his numb ear. A phone call didn't stop him from using his hands for whatever else he might be doing at a given moment. Keep turn, Curly. I see Nancy Lee now, still looking pretty good. Way I remember her. From when she was growing into a woman. I'll teach you something here. Stoney had a stray thought that Damien had heard voices in his head at the end. Maybe some of the voices crystal meth fed, with paranoid phrases and fantasies becoming drug-fed realities. The master of the voices in his head, he decided what voices he would hear and not hear, what he would see and not see. See it, Damien. Hopefully not too soon. Stoney could envision Damien's eyes in those last days before he died, could hear the hurried speech note the decline of his lovable young man, despair fed by every piece of crystal he bought from Stoney, who had mastered voices. The conspiracies, the eroding self-esteem, convincing Damien that people didn't like him, when in fact many people loved him. In the end, the meth-inflamed voices screamed insistently along with delusional nightmares in Damien's head, until Damien silenced the voices by ending his life. Please, so sad we have to meet like this. I'm so sorry for your loss. I've heard so many stories about you, Stony. Doesn't sound anything like the person I grew up with. Small town folks like to gossip, you know that. Me, I heard you became a nurse. That true? Yes. Some of these rumors flying around. People are flapping their gums that you're selling drugs. I just want you to know I don't believe a word of it. Tell you what, why don't you let me take you out to dinner and we'll talk about Damien and you and me in the old times. Three of us were so close growing up. Remember when we used to swing on that old swing down by the marsh, even when we weren't supposed to? You and I did a lot of things we weren't supposed to do. Why don't you come see my new spread, Nancy Lee? I think we could both stand not being alone tonight. Tony loves it. He reveals it in showing Nancy Lee how far he has come, the acres of land, the imposing house, the skiing wish trappings. This will give Curly a thrill, make him jealous to beat the band. Let me hold you, Nancy Lee. Let me be with you the way we were when we never knew life could get so hard. Click. Tony can't quite fathom what happened. There was Nancy Lee's warmth and closeness, and then cold and dark. What is this? He can't move. He's on his own bed, and he can't twitch a finger, move an arm, move a leg. This isn't how it's supposed to be. As soon as I returned to this town and saw at your house, saw all this, I knew all the rumors were true. This place, everything you have, it was all bought on drug money. Money that you cost my brother his life. That's when I decided you weren't going to get away with it. I've been entertaining the idea from the time you were nuzzling at my neck at the restaurant. That's why I brought this along on our little date. A nifty drug that immobilizes the body. I love watching you try to move and watch the panic in your eyes as you realize it's because of you, you maggot. Damien's in that coffin. Because you feed on human insecurity and despair. Nancy Lee, you listen to me. Listen up. You've gone out of your mind doing something like this. You're a good girl. You've always been a good girl. You even feel guilty about swinging on that swing we weren't supposed to swing on, remember? He wants to scream sanity back into her. He wants to scream for rescue, but knows he's built his house far from prying eyes and ears. You hear that, this Tony? My brother won't be the only one buried today. His camera phone were on. If only he could get the thing to switch on. It would be a whole different story then. Nancy, what are you doing? Let's think about what you're doing, okay? You can take it to the bank, Stoney. I've been doing a lot of thinking. No one's going to hear you or find you. And you know in your heart of hearts, Stoney, no one here about is really going to look for you too hard. Stoney almost has a heart attack when he hears Curly's voice loud with concern in his ear. The camera phone, it's on. Must have triggered the mechanism when he whacked his head into the coffin bottom. Stoney, can you hear me now? Can you hear? I hear you, Curly. Can you see what I see? Yeah, night sky. Where are you? What happened? It's a crazy sister, Curly. She's got me zonked out on some kind of drug. I don't even have the twitch of a death nerve. That's how strong this stuff is. Uh-oh, what? We're stopping. I smell swamp marshland. You get that, Curly? Yeah, I got it, but what good it's gonna do me? Unless you can give me some sort of landmark. There's miles of swamp and mosquitoes. I see you got your phone working again. For a minute I was afraid you'd lost your mind and were babbling to yourself. You know about my embedded camera phone? Since about the time you were nuzzling my neck for your audience. That's good. You'll have company to see you through to the end. They'll know your fate. That could be a good thing. Maybe whoever's on the other end will see the error of their ways, realize this is what happens to leeches like you. Oh man, Curly, she's up to something. She's shoving the coffin off the truck. You give me one call that pinpoints where you are, boss, and I'm there. I'm trying to see. The coffin's tilting. Maybe I'll see something then. Wait a minute. I see something. Wait, is that? I know where I am, Curly. I know where I am. So spit it out, boss. Can you hear me now, Curly? I'm exactly at a fitting place for you to spend eternity Stony, the place where we grew up, before you betrayed us all. Enjoy. Only another few seconds and he could be saved. Curly squints at what he is in center of a small image. What is that? A child swing? What in the world is he supposed to do with that image? Frame it as a useless normal Rockwell scene? For Curly it's about as far removed from his world as that painting. It means nothing, nothing at all. Hear me now? Good one, old witch. I really dug it. And Stoney's headphone, too. I also found this sinister-looking old comic book, but it's stuck in this stupid plastic case. No, Vault Keeper, you old rotting ignoramus. That's the most valuable comic book in the world. Now you've ruined it. Oopsie. Collectors pay big bucks to get their priceless first editions graded and put in a special holder. It's what they call getting a comic slabbed, which is also the name of our next terror tale. So thanks for everyone for listening, and hope you enjoyed that. One of the stories from the book, and now you can decide like which one you like to hear more, or see more, the comic ones or hear the regular normal ghost stories. I don't know. With that, I'm out. Peace out. Have a good October, everyone.